This is one of the top traumatic things that deconstructionists have to deal with when they walk away from Christianity. And that is the loss of the relationship that they believe that they developed with this God. I remember going through it, and I went through a time frame of depression thinking that I had lost my relationship with a deity that I had poured so much into. But the more I studied it historically and the more I thought about it logically, it made it easier for me to be in my awareness to walk away and not have the depression state. So to answer your question just directly, is there such a thing as having a relationship with God? No, there is not. There is no such thing as far as reality is concerned. As far as what has been taught in New Age Christianity, it is. And most people are going to think, what am I talking about? New Age Christianity doesn't teach that. But the actual idea of having a relationship with God is relatively new. So let's think about this logically first. A human being having a relationship with God is tantamount to a person having a relationship with a dog. That's right, a dog. No, better yet, a cat. A cat would be better because humans act more like cats than dogs. You see, a person who is a pet owner, and pet owners, I know you're going to understand this even more clearly, but a person who is a pet owner, you are a god to that dog or cat. You provide them nourishment, you give them shelter. Their entire world revolves around you. Now, at any time frame in that dog or cat's life, they either love you because you have done good things for them, or when you are punishing them, they are fearful of you. But there are certain conditionings that they have developed around you that is based out of fear. The fear of being sprayed by water, the fear of being spanked by a broom or a paddle or yelled at, or whatever type of punishment you utilize in order to train your dog to not urinate in the house or defecate in the house. Whatever you have trained them not to tear this up or tear that up. Whatever you do, yelling, screaming, yelling their name, spanking, whatever it is that you do, you've indoctrinated and trained that dog or cat how to act. Now, for those who have dogs and cats, the most devout ones are the dogs. The cats are the ones who straddle that fence, because we know cats will sometimes just do whatever the hell they want to do regardless of what you're trying to teach them. But they are still dependent upon you to provide nourishment, shelter, health care, all these different things. So you're like a dog or a cat. How much, even though you communicate at a base level, how much of a relationship do you really have with your dog or cat? Like, the owner can give so much love, but how much does the dog or cat really have a relationship with the pet owner? Do they talk to them? Do they talk about their hopes and dreams? There's not really a relationship there. You're a pet. I like to say that it's more like having a relationship with a blade of grass in your yard. That's how infinite the gap would be between a person and a person and a God. So no, there is no such thing as having a relationship with a God. You are a pet or a plaything to this God, not a relationship. Now, where does this concept come from, and why do I say it's New Age? Many Christians like to think about it in terms of saying that when the church was first being formed during the time frame of Jesus and up until the 4th century CE, until the Romans took over Christianity, that there was some type of golden age of Christianity, but yet there were not. We can see that there was not a golden age of Christianity just simply by the fact that there were writings that Christians were using in one area and Christians weren't using in another area. The secret writings of Phillips was used over here, the Gospel of Thomas over there, the books of Enoch used in most places, but not in every place. So there were many different writings, what would become the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, although unnamed until around 180 CE, were being utilized, and one more emphasized more than the other at different times. The epistles of Paul, one being emphasized with one group more than the other. So there was never this golden age of Christianity. Even within your Bible, Paul and Peter had arguments with one another in how Christianity was supposed to be done, because Paul was going to the Gentiles and Peter didn't think that that was the right thing to do. So there was no golden era. So, and Here's the thing. Justin Martyr, who was around 150, Irenaeus at 180, Jerome, none of the early church fathers before the Council of Nicaea, none of them wrote about having a personal relationship with God. None of them interpreted the Bible to be able to say you should have a personal relationship with God. And understand the Bible can be interpreted in whatever way you choose. We can both look at this cloud that's above my head. I look at it and I see like some kind of weird looking bird, like almost like a phoenix. You may look at it and see an ironing board or something. Actually, could be an iron too. So you see what I'm saying? We could look at the same thing and get a different definition. Is there pre-tribulation rapture, post-tribulation rapture? What is nature telling us about Revelations right now? Is it red tide or is it the waters turned to blood? People can extrapolate whatever teachings they desire to fit their narrative out of the Bible. So, but one thing that wasn't is the fact that a relationship with God, a personal relationship with God, was never anything that was taught by the early church writers prior to the Council of Nicaea. And of course, when the Romans began to take over Christianity after 325 CE, Christianity became more Romanized, became more centralized. It fell under what becomes the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church definitely kept a separation between the lay people and his God. The priests were like the middlemen. So, of course, no personal relationship was taught during that time frame. Now, things began to change during the time after Gutenberg printing press came out. Tyndale did his Bible. Tyndale was burned at the stake. John Calvin comes out. Martin Luther comes out. The Renaissance begins, and people start to question the church. And then when monarchs start leaving the Catholic Church, like James and Henry VIII, people now feel emboldened to read the Bible themselves, challenge the Bible themselves, and the Protestant Reformation happens. But even initially in the Protestant Reformation, John Wesley, none of those people wrote about, a personal relationship with God. CC never wrote about it. None of these people ever wrote about a personal relationship with God. What you have is in and around the 70s with the televangelists is the creation of personal relationship with God. That is not about religion. It's about a personal relationship with God. It was initially taught by a gentleman named Billy Sunday. But then the person who popularized it the most between the 70s, 80s, and 90s was Billy Graham. That's right. The teachings of the Bible went from being obedient, and you must be obedient and prepare yourself for revelations, to fire and brimstone, live in fear, stay out of the world, to personal relationship with God. And at the same time, this is when the wealth church started as well, where the wealth teachings, I forgot what it's called, just skipped my head right then. But that's when that started being taught as well. But the personal relationship thing was a Billy Graham driver. And because Billy Graham was teaching it, and he was a big televangelist back in the day, popularized all over television, he pushed the narrative that Billy Sunday started. And now people are walking around talking about personal relationship with God. And here's the thing. That is only, and for the most part, in America. When you go to other countries, they don't generally talk about a personal relationship with God. Some of the African countries have picked that up, but most other countries where Christianity is present, they don't talk about a personal relationship with God. It's mostly an American thing. So what do you guys think? Comment, tell me what your thoughts are. Subscribe, share the video. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.